you're more than welcome to raise any question in the chat box or the Q&A box. Then we will have all the questions answered during the Q&A session. So already, so I will pass it to Lydia to talk about the state nomination policy for NT for financial year 2021 to 2022.
Okay, so thank you for taking the introduction. So I am Lydia from Seoul Edu and Migration. I am a registered migration agent. So today I would like to talk about the state nomination. So just bear with me. I need to share the PPT with you guys. Yeah, so can anyone see the PPT clearly? If you can, please type 1 in the chat box. Okay. So today, the contents we're going to talk about today. So the first one will be why we choose the Northern Territory for studying or living. And the second one will be the state nomination, the overview. And the third one is 190 and 491 state nominations specific requirement. And the last one is for the tips I can give you if you want to move to Northern Territory. And at the last part, I will answer your question. So there will be a Q&A part. And after I have finished all my part, one of the staff, Cheryl, from CDU, will talk about the course and the university. And she will give you guys a time of Q&A as well. So before we go into the specific requirement, so I would like to list it few advantage if you choose NT for study or living. So as you know, NT is at the north part of Australia and is a big state. But the truth is there's not many international students as other states like Queensland or New South Wales. So which means there will be a lot less competitive. So you will be more competitive in NT. And also if you studied in NT, so the whole state of NT is defined as a regional area. If you studied there for 2 years, you will be able to get an extra 5 points. And if you never applied for 485 visa before, after you finish your 2-year study, you will be eligible to apply for the postgraduate visa. And it will give you another 2 years. So probably you can get 4 years 485 visa, which is quite long. And the next one will be NT has a wide range of occupation lists with more than 200 eligible occupations, like popular one like accountant, IT and engineer, nursing, they all on the list. And also NT has a lower English requirement, so you probably only need to have competent English, so which is IELTS 6 or PTE 50 for each components. So compared to other states with IELTS 7 or IELTS 8, NT has a better English requirement. So you don't need to put a lot of time to get a higher English result. And also is another best part about the NT graduate stream. So for this stream is for the students who completely study in NT. They do not need the work experience for that. So which is very good for the NT student. And for the overview of the NT state nomination for this year, So we can see from the table on the left, the NT currently have the same number for 190 and the 491 visa. So both them are 500 places for each visa subclasses. And eligible, if you want to get invited by them, there is some common requirement, like you have to currently living in NT, and NT government is not open for offshore applicant, but if they will open in the future, you offshore applicant will need to have a job offer. And also is another one important thing about NT. So if you get 190 visa granted, so this is PR. If you have the visa granted, you can't leave NT. So you have to continue to live and work in NT for at least 3 years. And you have to sign a StatDec, like a declaration form with the government. So once you sign the documents, so basically you have made a commitment with the NT government to continue to live there. And normally, NT government does not grant exemption, so you have to live there for 3 years. And there's several steps, so 5 steps you have to follow to get invited. So the first one, you have to have after you complete your study, you have to have a positive full skill assessment, and then you need to reach at least 60 points for 190 visa, because you will get an extra 5 points for 190, and 50 points for 491 visa, because you will get extra 15 points for this visa. And after you have reached the points, you can submit an EOI. So EOI stands for Express of Interest, through a Skill Select. Skill Select is a system currently used by the Department of Home Affairs. So you have to submit an EOI application in the system. And then we just wait for the NT invitations round. And if you received an initial invitation, so this one is the initial one, you need to submit your documents, like your qualification and your other documents to there, and you have to submit a state nomination application and pay the nomination fee to the NT government. Then after the NT government review your application and receive your nomination fee, they will issue another official invitation. So this is the official one, and so you basically are having the approval for the state nomination. And there is a link in the invitation, and you just click into that link, and you will go to the department website, and you can lodge your visa. So there are some common requirements for the state nomination. So firstly, you have to have a EOI selected. So this is what we mean by invited. And the second one is you have to currently live in NT now, and you need to be under 45 years of age, and you have at least competent English, which is L6 or PTE 50 for each component. And you have to have a valid skills assessment, so based on your qualification. So you will have a nominated occupation, and your occupation has been passed by skill assessment authority. And you have achieved at least 65 points. So 65 points, including the extra 5 points from 190 and extra 15 points from 491 visa. And the nomination fee for the NT are the same. So both of them are $300. So when you pay the fee, so as I mentioned before, when you lodge an EOI, you are selected first, the initial invitation, and you pay the fee. After you pay the fee, they review the documents, you will get an official invitation. And so we can look at the specific requirements for NT nomination. So basically, NT is not difficult or complicated compared to some of other states. And they only have 2 streams. The first one is NT graduates. This one is for students who complete at least 2 years study in there. And the second one is other AntiResident. So this one is for the applicant who did not study there, but they are on a temporary visa with work rights and currently residing in NT. So like if you are holding a 485 visa or 408 visa or even an employment sponsored visa and you have a full-time work rights, you can be considered as under the second stream, so other NT-resident. So for the NT graduate, the first big stream for 190 visa, so you need to complete 1 or more qualifications from NT school. So the school has to be based in NT and for 2 years. And the course can be a single course or it can be a package course. And you have to, after you complete your study, you have to live in NT for at least 6 months, continuing 6 months after you complete. And you must, while you staying there, while you spending 6 months there, you have to hold a full-time work visa. So this requirement only applies to students who complete their study after 1st of August 2020. So if you are a student who complete a 2-year study in NT before 1st of August 2020, you do not need to live there for 6 continuing months. And you do not need to have the work experience as I mentioned before. You only need to demonstrate genuine effort to obtain employment from an NT employer in your nominated occupation. It basically means if you graduate like accountant, you do not need to have an accountant or related job after you complete your study, but you need to show the evidence you have put a lot of resume and you did not obtain any job offer. So you just need to show the evidence. So this is very good for the NT graduates. So there's only a residence requirement, so 6 months residence requirements while you're holding a full-time work visa, like 485 visa, and then others are pretty much quite easy to meet the requirements. And for 491, so for 491, which is gonna be much easier because other requirements are the same. So you still need to complete your 2-year study in NT, and you still need to demonstrate you have made the efforts to get a job. But you do not need to live there for 6 months after you completing study. So if you cannot live there for a long time, for 6 months, less than 6 months can be considered for 491 visa. So both of the NT graduate stream is pretty much as easy as we can understand because they only have like 3 key points. So once you meet the points, you are more likely to be invited by them. And for the second largest stream, it's called AntiResidence. So for 190 visa, you have to living in there for at least 2 years. And if you are having a partner or a child, none of them can be residing in other states. Both of them have to live with you in NT. And you need to have employment. So compared to the last NT graduate stream, so this one does requires you to have a job in NT and in a eligible occupation. So eligible occupation, which means it has to be closely or related to your nominate occupation, and the job has to be, you have to work in there for at least 2 years, and the job has to be continuing for at least further 12 months. So which means you need to work to live there to live in NT for 2 years and work there for 2 years, and plus 1 year job offer. And for 491 visa, so if you start living in NT after 1st of July 2020, you will need to live in there for 12 months for 491 visa. But if you live in NT before 1st of July 2020, you only need to live there for 6 months. So there is shorter time if you lived in NT before 1st of July last year. And also still the same, if you're having a partner or child, they must be living with you in NT together. And you need to have a job in your nominated occupation for 6 months, and you have to have a 1 year job offer. So comparing with the AntiResident 190 visa, this one has shorter residence requirement and working experience requirement. So if you cannot satisfy the long requirement for the 190, you probably can consider 491 visa as well. And also, as I mentioned before, so both required you need to work in your nominated occupation. So, but some of applicants does not cannot find a nominated occupation in NT. So if you are working full time but not in your nominated occupation for 6 months, you may be eligible to apply for 491 if you can demonstrate the following criteria. So your employer has made a genuine effort to recruit locally, and the position cannot be filled by local. So if your employer can issue a letter saying they cannot find anyone from a community, the local community, to do the job, and they can only rely on you, so you basically can satisfy this criteria. And also there is a genuine need for the position in the business. So your employer can issue you a letter saying how much or how much they want to and how you can contribute to their business. And the last criteria is you have made a genuine and sustained efforts to get employment in your nominated occupation. So basically you can show how many resumes or how many jobs you have applied from any like Seek or Indeed website. So if you can show them you have been looking for a job for many months, but you still cannot get it, so you have made a genuine effort. So for those applicants who is not working in eligible occupation, but you have a job and worked for 6 months, you can still try for 491 visa. So unfortunately, so this stream does not have the pathway to 190 visa. And employment requirements. So if you want to get invited, your position must be based in the NT, and your employer must have a record of trading in the NT for at least 12 months. So just be careful if your employer is a new employer, they may not able to satisfy this requirement because the employer has to be operating for a year. And the position that are based at service office space or involve top desking arrangements will generally not be considered. So which means your currently occupation, if it's high skilled, will have higher chance to get invited. But if it's lower skill, you maybe not be invited very soon. And you must be paid at market salary. So your pay has to be legal and not below the market salary rate. And so we have spoken about the 2 streams for the NT, and I want to give you some tips about how you can increase your chance to get invited. So you need to get your skill assessment ready if you don't have one. And you have to achieve, if you want to achieve a higher English test result to be more competitive, because you will have more points for the EOI, so you have higher chance to be selected. and you can try to find a job related to your nominated occupation. And if you are considering to moving to NT to study a migrating course, you maybe can consider like IT related, engineering, nursing, midwife, teaching, cookery, a chef. So all of these courses are migrating courses, a popular one. But after you complete your courses, doesn't mean you will get official invitation from the NT government. You still need to satisfy the requirement. So why choose us? We are Seoul Edu and Migration. So we are one of the biggest education and migration agency in Brisbane, and we have 2 offices in Sunnybank and in City, and we have all different teams from different nationality. We can speak your own language, so we can have a better understanding of your culture and what do you want. So we can try our best to assist you to get your permanent resident. And if so, basically that's what we have for the state nomination today. So if you have any question, you can type in the chat box, and I can try to answer your question.
Thank you, Lydia. So if anyone have any question regarding the anti-state nomination, you can just type in the check box or the Q&A box. So while we're waiting for the questions, so probably I can ask Lydia some question, the most frequently asked question from our clients. So since some of the attendees just joined the seminar, probably Lydia can talk about the procedure for anti-state nomination application, because some states, they require the applicant to submit a state nomination application separately. So does NT require applicant to submit another application on their website or portal?
No, so NT only requires you to submit an EOI in the immigration system. So it's in the skill select system. They do not require you to submit a separate application on their website.
Yeah, cool. And we have a question here from an attendee asking, how do the applicants prove efforts to obtain employment?
So you're not the one typing in the chat box, so it's not it's different, right?
Different in the Q&A box. So
Okay.
this attendee is asking, I think Lydia mentioned, so applicants can show efforts like they have sent many emails or resumes to the potential employers, like through Seek.com or Indeed.com, to show efforts that they have tried to obtain employment in NT. Any other suggestion, Lydia?
Yeah, so if you are not graduate from NT, so you need to have a job in there and work there for 1 or 2 years to get invited by them.
Okay, Lydia, you are answering the question from checkbox, right?
So which one? The first one? Change the rules?
We have the first question from checkbox. The Northern Territory changes the rule a lot, like the other states.
Yeah. So for this one, based on the previous years, because NT does not have many overseas students as other states, so they do not change the rules very oftenly or change to change a totally different policy. So they are quite reliable on the policies.
Yeah. And we have another question from the checkbox. So to apply for visa 190, should I work 2 years first?
So if you are not study in NT, so you are not eligible to apply for the NT graduate stream. So you are only eligible to apply for the NT residence. So for that one, for 190 visa, you have to live and work there for 2 years. And for 491, you have to live and work for 1 year.
Yeah, cool. But if you are applying under the NT graduate stream, you are not required to work there for 2 years. So remember,
Yeah.
we will have two different streams. One is anti-graduate, one is anti-residence. Okay. Any more questions? Please feel free to type in the chat box or Q&A box, then we can answer your question. Or probably I can ask Lydia another popular questions. So as for the anti-graduate stream, they require applicant to have 6 months continuous residency to have full-time work rights. So can you give us some example of the visa options which applicant can have the full-time work rights?
Yeah, so the most popular one for the graduate, so will be the 485 visa. So it's a postgraduate visa for 2 years. And another one for the currently, because the COVID-19, so you can have the 408 if you are working in critical sector stream. And also if you are employment sponsored stream, and also if you have a partner who is currently studying a master or PhD course, as a student dependent, you can still work full time.
Cool. All right, I think it's pretty clear. So, but if you have any audience have any question, you can feel free to type in the chat box. Lydia and I can answer the question in chat box. All right, thank you, Lydia. So now I would like to invite Cheryl from
I
Charles
think there's
Darwin.
another question.
Okay, sorry. What is the difference between visa 485 and 190?
Okay, so 485 visa is a temporary graduate visa, so it's not a permanent resident. So it's only about 2 or 4 years. But 190 is what we call is a permanent resident visa. So once you get 190, you get PR.
Cool.
So
I think
is
probably Lydia can also explain about the difference for 190 and 491.
Yeah, so for 190 is still the same, so it's a permanent resident visa, and for 491, so it's a regional skilled migration visa, so it's a temporary visa as well. 491 visa lasts for 5 years, and it's a temporary visa, so you have to live and work in regional area for at least 3 years. After 3 years, you can apply for the permanent resident visa.
Cool.
So biggest differences between 190 and 491 is 190 is a permanent resident, and the second one is a TR, so temporary visa.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. Okay, one more question. I think we will use this one as the last one. If a student completed his bachelor degree and his 485 visa is expired in April 2022, should he consider to move to NT to study master for visa 491?
So if you have applied for 485 visa before by using your bachelor degree, so basically it means you cannot get the second 485 visa by yourself. So even you move to NT to study the master, you cannot, you maybe to apply for the NT graduates by holding maybe an employment graduate visa or by holding a 408 visa, because you cannot hold the 485 visa anymore. So if you can get a working visa after you finish your master, you can still go for the NT graduate. If you cannot, you can only go to the go for the NT resident requirement, so which requires you to have work experience.
Okay, so we have the question in the chat box, but I will answer the question in chat box later. So now let's welcome Cheryl from Charles Darwin University to introduce about the CDU programs as well as any scholarship available for international students. Hello,
Hi,
Cheryl.
thank you. Hi, Tin. Thank you so much for your introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I am working from home, as you can see. My bandwidth isn't so great, so you'll have to see my house in the background while I give this presentation. Let me go ahead and quickly screen share for you so that I can share this presentation. Okay, and hopefully you can all see my slides okay. Thank you, Tin. So I'm the regional manager at Charles Darwin University. Forgive my cat in the background. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands in which we're meeting and pay respect to elders both past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So you're not going to be able to hear this video, but you can read the subtitles, and hopefully this video will give you an idea of what it looks like in Darwin. You can see it's quite modern, and yes, everybody is dressed in short sleeves because it is warm. So that's the Mindel night markets that they're walking through. And yes, we have a lot of our students will have family with them. They might be traveling alone. There's a range of different students that we receive at Charles Darwin University. One of the biggest selling points for us is that we're ranked #1 in full-time employment through the Good Universities Guide 2021-2022. We are a leader in an online education delivery. We have had a number of students from offshore commencing online. We are the first university to welcome back international students, and currently the only one since the pandemic. We brought in 63 students from 5 different countries back in November, and are looking forward to welcoming more very soon. And we're expert training providers. I saw that a recommendation for commercial cookery study. Absolutely, we have a wonderful program, which I'll show you in a second. From our students' perspective, what is the best things about studying at CDU? Well, #1, meeting from people from around the world. You'll certainly have that opportunity in Darwin. It is a small place of about 160,000 people, a very tropical climate. So it is warm year round with a wet and a dry season. There are crocodiles, but not in the CBD, so you don't have to worry about that. Sorry, this has #2 in graduate salaries, but this is old information. In fact, we have gone up in our current rankings. So sorry for not catching that on the slide. Small class sizes, we have about 25 students per class in higher education programs and 14 in our vet program. So we are dual sector. And we have wonderful internship opportunities, professional placement opportunities available in the Northern Territory. I'll take you through some of that information in a moment, and a large range of programs and pathway options. I think what makes the NT quite special is that it's a very welcoming community. If you want to be part of a community and you want to feel welcomed, it's a wonderful place to go, because that's certainly what you will receive in Darwin. We also have gone quite well in COVID across the Northern Territory. So there has only ever been, let's see, a total of 209 people recovered and 216 confirmed cases. This is from the 10th of October on Monday when they update everything. Currently 7 overseas acquired cases. So really, it's a great place if you want to quarantine. It's one of the better quarantine facilities, I think, across the nation. It's very well managed, obviously, because it hasn't escaped quarantine to get out into the community. We have campuses not only in the Northern Territory, but also in Sydney. So in the NT, we have Casuarina, Waterfront, Palmerston, and Alice Springs. We have a number of scholarships available. Now, they haven't been released yet. It says coming soon because our scholarships have not all been released just yet, but they will be very shortly. So our scholarships range from the Vice Chancellor International High Achiever. That's a 50 to 25% off per year of your study, but you need to have a 95 percentile score or higher on application to, and your last completed qualification when you apply to CDU. We have Global Excellence, which requires an 80 percentile score, which is 50% off your first year and 10% off your subsequent years. The Global Leader is a 70 percentile score, and we're looking for 25, you'll get 25% off your first year and 10% off subsequent years. And the last one is Global Achiever. For those with a 60 percentile score or higher, it's 15% off for your first year of study at CDU. So our scholarships are merit-based, of course, and they do have quota. So certainly feel free to apply for a scholarship. You can find the full list of scholarships and conditions available on our website. So I'm going to just get into programs now, particularly kind of focusing on the programs where you're going to get a lot of skills and the skills in the right areas for you. So first off, health and human sciences, social work, medical laboratory science. For social work, psychology, you have extremely good employment opportunities in the territory. We have a lot of students going into the Master of Social Work qualifying. That's one of the most popular programs, more popular programs. You can come from any bachelor degree background. We also have the Master of Medical Laboratory Science for those who have a background in medical laboratory science or in health, the health areas of study. Business and accounting. So our Asia Pacific College of Business and Law offers MBA and MPA programs that include a 300-hour internship. We have a wide range of majors for you to go into, particularly for the Bachelor of Business, where you can do strategic marketing and communications, international management and logistics, entrepreneurship and innovation, and more. So those are great programs to consider, as well as our engineering, IT, and science programs. So we are accredited by Engineers Australia, recognized under the Washington Accord. We were the first university in Australia to be recognized under the Washington Accord. Our students graduate with real work experience and participate in projects mostly across biomedical engineering, renewable energy, sustainability, 3D printing, robotics, and mechatronics. We also have a Bachelor and Master of Engineering majors, which can be civil and structural, electrical and electronics, or mechanical. We also have a great range of IT programs, all which are accredited by the Australian Computer Society. We also offer an IT code fair every year. It's a big attractor for students to choose CDU, because what it does is it's sponsored by the government, the Northern Territory government, and it brings our students and the IT community together. So many of our students are able to showcase their talent to the employment community and go on to receive job offers because of their experience with the IT code fair. And science, we have Bachelor of Science and a really great Master of Environmental Management. In fact, that's our science programs are our highest ranked programs at the university. We really focus on Indigenous futures as well, education and the arts. We offer a wonderful Bachelor of Humanitarian Aid and Development for people who are really concerned about helping the world. If that sounds like something that you would like to do, it also includes a 400-hour professional placement in a non-government organization or with the government. We also have Master of Public Policy, very popular for CDU, with a real focus on Indigenous cultures, not just Australian Indigenous cultures, but Indigenous cultures from around the world. And our wonderful Master of Emergency and Disaster Management, which again is a great opportunity for those who want to help the world, and certainly will be needing it as the world starts to warm up a bit. We have education programs. They are accredited by the Australian Institute of Teaching and School Leadership, as well as the Teacher Registration Board of the Northern Territory. So those programs that lead to teacher registration would be either the Bachelor of Education or the Master of Teaching. And we offer early childhood teaching, primary and secondary. And we have a range of other education programs available as well. These do include professional placements. Of course, you have to take your placements to become a teacher in Australia. And those, I think, are taken every semester of study. Now, nursing and midwifery is our largest college. We have over 4,000 nursing students studying with CDU across the country. And we have a diploma in health and Bachelor of Nursing. So for those who aren't able to immediately reach that 7.0 IELTS requirement to go into the Bachelor of Nursing or Master of Nursing practice, you can take this diploma plus a Bachelor of Nursing. It's a 3-year in total program, so you will complete within a 3-year duration. And within your first year, you're really, you're going to be also focusing on English skills. When you get to the point where you need to go into the Bachelor of Nursing, you will be required to take a second IELTS exam. But the Bachelor of Nursing is a 3-year program. Our Master of Nursing practice pre-reg is great for someone who has a very strong interest in nursing. And they also, but maybe not from a nursing background in terms of your bachelor education, or maybe even your master education. So those are 2-year programs offered in Darwin and also in Sydney. And we have a Bachelor of Midwifery as well, which is gaining increased interest. Now, I do want to say, because quickly we had mentioned commercial cookery as being something that students might want to consider. We have a fantastic program. I love this program. It makes me really excited because I personally love to cook too. But we have face-to-face contact. It's 8 hours a day for this truly hands-on experience in a block setting. So you'll be studying full-time for 2 weeks, and you're off for 2 weeks, studying for full-time for 2 weeks, off for 2 weeks. But it sounds like it might be chaotic, but actually it works really well for our students. Our state-of-the-art facilities are located in Palmerston, which is just outside of Darwin, and Alice Springs, for those who might want to get a little bit closer to Uluru. We also have industry linkages that are unparalleled within the Northern Territory. So great employment opportunities. I cannot stress how good the employment opportunities are, particularly in hospitality and cookery, and really get great pay for our students who work in those areas. Small class sizes, really qualified, really dedicated and passionate teaching staff, and free parking on campus. And you wouldn't believe the facilities on campus. They are absolutely unreal. We have a great range of cookery packages. This is a lot to take in, so let me just point out the #1 program that our students take would be either the cookery package B1, which is a certificate 3 and certificate 4 in commercial cookery over a 2-year duration, or the package B2, which is again 2 years, certificate 1 year, certificate 2 the 2nd year for cookery, with a 6 months and within 6 months more, you'll complete the diploma of hospitality. There's also great employment across the Northern Territory, particularly again, working in hospitality, work in these, in these more, I guess, university student sectors. You definitely are going to have a good time with employment. On average, 72% of our students work while they study, which is higher than the national average. Our students are working on average 17 hours per week. Of course, nowadays when the different restrictions have been lifted for COVID. And the salaries on average are 24 on weekdays, 26 on Saturday, and 29 on Sunday. We have a very comprehensive range of student support services to cover personal support, academic support, and international student support. So maybe for some of those who might need COE renewals, we have an international orientation. We have information on student visa obligations and conditions. We offer even wonderful employment counseling, both while you study and after you graduate. We have accommodation on campus as well at the CDU International House. We also have, like I said, the academic support is fantastic, and certainly we encourage our international students to use these services as much as possible. Now, the cost of living in Darwin, I'm very pleased to say it is cheaper than your national averages. In fact, it's about 30% less expensive in Darwin than it is in Sydney the last time I checked. You know, we also have, like I mentioned, the accommodation on campus for $175 to $240 per week. And you can see rental accommodation, I feel like that's a very inflated number. But, you know, if you're going to live in anything $1,000 per week, certainly you're going to be living very palatially. Utilities, food and groceries, entertainment are about the same as you would have to pay anywhere across Australia, but public transport is quite reasonable at $7 per week. And I mentioned we have free parking available. There is a free parking lot at the main campus in Darwin and Casuarina. And then we also have free parking at our vet campuses. We have a great range of resources. You certainly should be checking out our achievements and rankings. You can see our achievements and rankings based on study area. So it's very clear how great the employment is for a lot of places. I mean, if you're looking looking at engineering, looking at IT, looking at health services, you're going to really have a good time of finding work while you study. And of course, that's why I think anybody would go on to higher education. So you can contact me via WeChat. You can phone me. Probably the best way to reach me always would be send me an email, and of course, contact the team at Seoul Education. So I want to see whether we are ready to take any questions.
Yes, thank you, Cheryl. I think we have some questions from the checkbox and Q&A box. So I will have the question for you. First question, is there any graduate entry for the nursing course? I think you mentioned CDU offers Master of Nursing.
Yes, very good question. So we don't have a Bachelor of Nursing graduate entry. I know that there's a lot of schools who offer that. What we offer, and it's basically the same thing, but probably a little better, is that Master of Nursing Practice pre-registration. And that is a 2-year program. So you do, once you successfully complete this program, you will qualify to work as a registered nurse in Australia. And yes, I mean, basically that program is exactly the same. And I say it's better because you are graduating with a higher level degree, which means that you're likely to have you know, improved work opportunities and maybe even a higher salary because of that.
Okay, so Cheryl, for the Master of Nursing, so are there any required background?
Yeah, so really what we're looking for are students. Now, again, you're not coming from a related background. If you have a diploma of nursing, you would be going into the Bachelor of Nursing with a 1 year of credit. That's for diploma that are completed here. Say like, let's say, well, you definitely need IELTS 7 with no bands less than 7, or the PTA or TOEFL IB2 equivalent. You also need to have a very strong interest in nursing. You know, we do look at your statement of purpose to make sure that you are the right candidate, that this would be the right thing for you. So most of our successful candidates will actually have, you know, worked as maybe in aged care or in some area of the health sector. You know, those candidates are definitely considered quite strong.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the second question, what means qualifying for the master's degree of social work?
Yes, so that's a good one too. That one's a little bit tricky. You need to have a bachelor degree qualification. It needs to be AQF equivalent bachelor degree qualification, and that can be from your home country, that can be from Australia. That, as well as IELTS 7 with no bands less than 7, will also accept PTEA or TOEFL IB2 equivalent. And within your bachelor degree qualification, you have to have 8 units. You'll have to have completed 8 units that are deemed as behavioral or social sciences. So what they'll do is you can submit your application, and that would go basically to our team to do an assessment. And if they're not quite sure, they'll go back to the college to make sure, do you meet the 8 units requirement? Now, if you don't have that, we do have a diploma of social care, which is a 1-year program that you can take that would meet that 1-year requirement for you. But you would have to finish, you'd have to apply for and finish the diploma first before you can apply for the master's. So it's not available at this time as a package. We are working on, something else that will help our students kind of get through that requirement, that 8 units, which is usually what's holding up most of our applications, to be quite honest. But if you think you know that you have met those requirements, certainly, welcome to apply.
Okay, sure. And we have some questions from the Q&A box. The first question, I believe this probably the placements for nursing, teaching, and social work. So probably previously due to the COVID-19, there was some delay for the placement arrangement. And we would like to know how is it going now for the nursing, teaching, and social work placements?
Yes, absolutely. COVID has kind of wreaked its havoc a little bit in placements. I have been told that, the placements are, being managed pretty well at this stage. I think what has been the harder placement at this time has been education, nursing, and social work, not so badly affected, but certainly, the education placements I think are a little bit more difficult at this time than the others.
Okay, cool. And then to apply for Master of Education or Master of Teaching, does it require related bachelor degree?
No, actually, so the Master of Teaching is the one that leads to registration, and no, that program is actually designed for those for individuals who do not have an education background. So we look at a range of different backgrounds. I've honestly, like, it's pretty much endless. You can have been in business. I see people sometimes with hospitality backgrounds, all sorts of backgrounds who are going into teaching. And so no, you absolutely, if you had a background in education, you would not qualify for a Master of Teaching. Cool. Because you had already, well, you can have it if it's offshore. Let's just say that. If it's onshore, then you'd already be a teacher.
Yeah, clear. So does anyone has more question? Or probably I can ask Cheryl a question regarding the biomedical laboratory science. So for the master degree, is it accredited by AIMS?
Very good question. So right now, that program had to be reaccredited, as all universities have to do at some point. And that's currently, so what it says in the website is, I think it says pending application. I can't remember exactly what the wording is. Basically, what you'll need to do is you'll need to apply for the accreditation because the accrediting body needs our first round of graduates to come out. So hopefully that will happen by the time anyone here who would be joining the program, by the time you join the program, that would certainly be accredited by then, by that stage. But for our current graduates, they do have to apply. According to the college, no one has any problems with receiving, their accreditation.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Basically, it's a non-problem if you're going to be, joining that, if you're going to be graduating in the future.
Yeah. And for this program, it will require candidates to have very strong health or biomedical background, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so seems all clear. We don't have any more questions. Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Lydia, for joining our seminar today. So before we finish the seminar, I would like to remind all audience today, we still have 6 online webinars coming in this October in every Tuesday and Thursday. So on this Thursday, we will have the New South Wales State nomination together with the University of Newcastle. So if you haven't registered yet, we will share the link in the checkbox. and you can feel free to join on this first day. We will see you on this first day. Thank you, everyone.